Chairman Ted Shiner is unable to make it, so I will be conducting the meeting as the vice chair. First order of business is approval of minutes, but I see that we don't have any.
My intentions were to have them here, because I knew I could finish them on Monday, and they will be available at the next meeting.
So we'll table that item. Next item is a subdivision amendment for the Old Mill subdivision, tax map 16, lot 32, case 154. Sit the applicant hear them.
Do you want to come up and speak? That'd be fine. Just kind of fill them in on what you're doing, and then
What we decided to do, we had one lot saved for ourselves out of this. It was over 5 acres. And we've had no interest in buying 5 acres, so we decided, well, we'll divide it in half. So we've got about 2.5 acres in each section now, which is plenty of property to build on. So we're hoping that this will help move it. We finally decided that we've got to the age we don't want to go to build a new house. We don't want to go through that again. It's just too much on us right now. So that's why we've asked to do this. And also asked to take a portion of that out of resource protection for the house lot and for the septic system. And we had Dave Moyce look at a place. He picked out a spot on that for the septic system and said the soil was fine. He hasn't designed it because don't know how many people, how many bedrooms would be in the house. So you'd have to design it for whatever you'd think. Well, that's where we're at. I don't know if you have any questions for me, or?
what I did is I broke this up into 2 different cases. One is to actually split the lot, and then the second will be for the bringing that out of resource protection.
Doesn't city sewer run up through there?
It stops back down on Spring Street. In fact, a lot of the ones that are on Bennick Road actually go down through and tie into the Spring Street. But it's probably 200-300 yards back from this property, the Highbargers.
We had asked the sewer department to look at that, and they came back and says, no, put in septics. It's too costly for us because it's a solid ledge between our lot and that.
Sure.
And they didn't want to go to the expense. I understand they broke a few foundations when they blasted to get as far as they did.
I don't see the septic field location on lot B. Is that
I think it's this test pit.
just the test pit?
104.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it would be about the same footprint as that over
Over
here
there.
somewhere.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant from the board?
Nope.
With that, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision amendment for the Old Mill subdivision as presented for tax map 16, lot 32, case 1541.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed, so that carries. Item 4 is a zoning map amendment for a portion of a lot within the Old Mill subdivision, tax map 16, lot 32, case 1542. Recommend the partial zone change to the Old Town City Council for adoption.
Again, the soils tests were done and soils determination that there are no hydric soils within that 26,000 square foot area, or 25,000 square foot area, thus deeming that you don't really need to keep that into the resource protection. We know that we have a test pit for the septic. The 25,000 square foot well exceeds the 9,000 that would be for a typical R1 house lot.
Any questions from the board for the applicant? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend the partial zone change to the Old Town City Council for adoption in regards to Old Mill subdivision, tax map 16, lot 32, case 1542.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. You explained the process that has to go to the city council.
Yes,
for
I did. Yep,
Approval.
thank you.
So, we have a motion and a second. There's no question, all in favor? Approved unanimously, so I believe you're all set. It will go to the city council. That was quick and painless.
I will get that on the next meeting for council, and it will take 2 readings. But they understand what we're doing.
Will you need me here for that?
No, I'll take care of that for you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Next item is any old and new business.
New business, you'll find a sketch here. This is for 190 Brunswick Street. Mr. Labree's building that had the massive fire. He is looking to go and replace it with a 14 unit, which he can. If he does it within 1 year, it doesn't have to really come back. But one of the problems that they're running into is they have canopies over the entranceways with pillars, and the pillars encroach into the 20-foot setback that is required by the zoning ordinance. I wanted to get a feel from you folks if you thought that the pillars were structure or enough foundation to warrant not encroaching, or in order to get their parking, and it could be a redesign, I'm sure, but
An eave of a house crossing over is considered an encroachment, so.
in Old Town, it's the foundation. I know in Brewer it was from the eave,
Yeah,
but in Old Town, it's the foundation. So, and again, I'm just deferring to you folks.
How much of an encroachment are you talking about?
About 10 feet.
So half of it,
It's not drawn that way, that's what I was wondering.
yeah. So my other question is comparable multi-unit places, how far did they encroach beyond the 20 feet? Like, if we were gonna compare apples to apples?
I know there are some, I would have to go out and actually physically measure them, but there is a provision in the ordinance where you can look at 3 houses, 3 properties on each side, and whatever that average setback is that they are,
Okay,
we can grant that as well, or I can grant that.
How many parking spots do they need for 14 apartments?
Ordinance says 2.
yeah, 28, right?
So isn't the canopy on the backside in the parking lots, if
yeah.
the posts are on the outside, gonna be in those 2 lots?
I honestly, I haven't seen the drawings for the actual building. If you'd like, I could get a set, I know he's had an engineer draw this up, architect draw this up. I could request a set of plans, kind of look at them and fill you in.
Right, because it does show, obviously, I don't think it's to scale, because to your
Right.
point, that doesn't show 10
Doesn't look
feet
like
within
10
the
feet to
20,
me, Right.
right?
Another question is, you said 28 spaces, and I don't count 28 spaces, I count 20 in the back, and there is a property line right there, and those open into that property line. I realize that's his property, but I don't know if that has to be within the confines. Is that true or not true?
Right.
So long as it doesn't, well, for resale purposes, it would.
Correct. That's the only reason I'm asking, I'm not trying.
And I
think
don't
it's
know
great
how
to
many
do it, so
unit, I don't know how many unit his other property has.
I don't either.
So the in and out arrows go through the building?
Yeah, that's what it would have to be, right?
And he's talked about taking that building down. So I don't know. Again, this was just a preliminary sketch that got shot off to me. What I will do, let me polish up on what actually is taking place here. And then we can revisit it at the next meeting, or I'll shoot you an email with a good description of what's taking place.
I think I'd want to see a little bit more of it. especially like, because right now it's not, or before it burned, it wasn't that bad of a looking area.
Right.
But if you move that building right there to the corner.
Yeah, they had quite a bit
you're
of
gonna
green
lose
space out
all
in
of that
front.
green space, and
Oh, understandable.
I think we should visit that before
Okay.
we allow them to just
It's
shove
a-
the
and
things
it's
And
a
right.
how many,
slope too,
how many
so-
units were there in the building that,
14, and this
14,
is a
14.
14 unit. Now, and I don't believe the ordinance differentiates between if it's a two-bedroom or a one-bedroom as to the parking spaces. I do know it does have a caveat that you only have to build one space for each unit, but you have to have the available land if you needed to build
additional.
additional spaces for each unit.
Right, and I think we had this conversation about 2 per unit for the 1 bedrooms beside the post office, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. Yeah,
Yes, we did.
it would be tight,
That's a reasonable amount. It actually probably could be more than that.
right?
Although with one bedrooms, yes, definitely, you could have, you know, your spouse or
Right.
significant other or whatever, that you both have vehicles.
Exactly.
So if that other building is coming down, wouldn't it make sense to merge these two properties together? And then you could get your spaces in.
Absolutely, and we ran the numbers back when that fire first took place as to how many additional units he could get on that, if he got rid of that. It really didn't add that many units
Right.
for the overall density. Because while this is in a C1 zoning district, which allows for this, you have to go with the R2 zoning standards, which is 9,000 square foot for the first unit, 1,000 for each additional unit, the parking, setbacks, all of that. C1 allows for the parking, I mean, your building to be on the property line. But I can refine this a little.
Sketchy sketch, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was quick just to see what I thought, and I said I'll take it to the board to see what they think.
so is there a general feeling on if it does encroach, we're not good with that, or we want to see more detail?
More detail.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable with it encroaching.
Yep. No, I have,
There's room there to move that building around and not encroach.
and again, as you said, you got the in only off from center, and then it wraps around,
And
goes through the
you're
building.
gonna do a traffic study, because that would be a bad place
Yeah,
to try
that
to,
would
on
be
Center
like
Street.
that.
to
I'd
do a
rather
curb
see it,
cut.
I'd rather see it the way it was. Where was it? It was there before.
It was there.
Was there one
But they
there?
had access up on the top, and that's where
Right.
everybody used it.
Right.
Well, and that's why where he's got the in and out up
Correct.
on Brunswick.
But that's what
It's-
people
It's
tended to
confusing,
use.
and again, I apologize, I've been kinda,
Yeah,
No worries. No worries. I think we would all like some more detail. You know, the entrance and exit only on Center Street, I think that's an issue. I think taking up half of the setback is a potential issue, and then,
so, are you all right with an in only on center? Because that's what they're proposing, it's
Is
just,
there
is it-
one
oh,
there
it's an
now?
in only?
Yes,
I-
there is.
yeah, there
Oh,
is.
Okay,
yeah, if we,
And I believe that was an in and out on center, even though they had the other one up top.
don't know.
I can't
It's-
remember.
It's tight there.
yeah, that's,
So in only you think is all right?
I don't know, I think out only.
you think out only, so turning right, yeah,
I
It'd be
mean,
a right out, right
Yeah.
out.
they're gonna have to queue up on Center Street to turn
Yes.
across,
Right,
Right.
exactly.
make a
Right.
left-hand turn into that lot.
right.
Could you, what about a right in and right out only on center? Widen that curb cut.
Well, you got
That'd be
steep
fine.
embankment there.
Right. I think it goes back to Tim's point. I mean, you're gonna cue that, you're gonna cue that.
Anything that
traffic up.
queues going up Center Street is not a,
No,
It
no.
doesn't have fire to Brunswick, we're gonna end up, could potentially block Brunswick Street if,
Right.
Yeah.
all right, so go back over that again for me. So in only on center,
No,
Out
you're saying
only.
right.
out only.
Out only, right exit. It's not gonna queue anything.
so they're gonna have to turn their parking the other way, probably.
So right out on center. Find out about the other building.
I I assume they have these apartments designed? Because
An
they're,
an architect has been designing them.
because they're awful deep and narrow. In order to fit the lot, he needs to make them
Like, almost like a shotgun aisle.
Yeah.
less deep and wider.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's trying to preserve these as two separate lots. And,
It does
I
as
think
far
that
as what
you-
we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably not feasible
No,
with
you're gonna
that
have to
size
merge 'em.
building.
You're gonna have to merge them.
You're gonna have to merge them or make a smaller building.
So that would be the other issue.
Okay.
And lot coverage, he's fine, because this is in C1, there's probably no
Yep.
requirement.
So setbacks we're not comfortable with. As far as encroaching the 10 feet. Okay.
So you swing this.
Well, I think it's a good
Correct.
start of dialogue, right? I mean, this is a first step, and then.
Yeah, absolutely. And that building, it took forever to get it.
Right.
It's another one. Once the insurance companies, it's turned over to them, it takes quite a while to decide what people want to do.
What is the note on the bottom? It says if 10-foot setback, it will fit, and then there's an arrow, but I don't see where it attaches to.
Oh, it's just pointing to that little,
Yeah, so.
the little not
this
to
is a-
scale arrow right there.
He's saying, okay, if they allow for this, it'll fit. So
Oh,
if there's, if they're,
But if not,
So this actually goes beyond the original footprint of the original building.
by 10 feet, or, again,
But that was at a setback? That was at the proper setback?
it was at
originally?
20 feet, yes,
Really?
the building.
Because that building was built before zoning ever came to town.
No, that had quite a large front lawn.
it did, it did.
It was
In a
nice
side,
building. How many
the
units?
front and the side.
That was 14.
It had 14 units in it. Wow.
So I think, after what Phil just said, I think the scale isn't wrong, but they were planning on moving that whole building this way to go to 10 feet, to put both canopies, put both sides outside the parking lot. So
Yeah.
this isn't,
In
the way of the
proportion,
building.
yeah.
Correct, that's what I
Would
was
be-
trying to
Yeah, I
figure
see
out,
it, yeah.
Yeah.
so they would shift the whole thing towards Brunswick.
The only thing that they had on those buildings before that may have encroached in the setback were those second floor balconies
Right,
they had up there.
But you say that doesn't count in Old Town.
right, it's the foundation.
It's the
portion, right?
foundation.
That's what you said, okay.
So if they put a kicker from the building out to hold up the canopy, and the foundation was with. outside
Well,
of
I
the-
see that, when you start putting structural entities into the ground to hold the pillars, then that's
You
just,
come off at an angle from the foundation up.
go back up, yes.
Yeah.
Can't, yeah,
That's in our ordinance. You can encroach into that area with,
I'm taking this from what Charlie told me when I started here. We measure from the foundation, well, I don't think it says, defines it anywhere.
Find out.
Well, if it doesn't. That's the sticky wicket right there.
Question, you also asked sometime prior to all
they
this,
changed that. I know
you
someone that's gonna be
just
really
ran by
happy.
me, you asked about the foundation that was there, it was a granite foundation?
That's all been
It was
removed.
all taken out, so they didn't collapse stuff in the middle
No,
of it or anything?
no.
Okay.
And that was another insurance. They
So
wanted
that's
to
all
keep,
filled
they
in
wanted to
with
keep the
material?
granite foundation and the first floor deck, and then build new on that. And I'm not a PE or a structural guy, but
That makes
our
no
arguments
sense.
boil down to, you can tell me what you're gonna do, but I'm the one that signs off on the CO, and I won't do
Yeah.
Right,
it. How do you measure granite? This,
right.
So
It's
that's
been through
all
a fire.
filled,
Yeah.
that's all removed and it's just filled in now?
it's fill.
Okay, because there's gonna be a compaction issue out there too, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is the owner of the previous building owns this, still owns the lot, so any inherent problems there are his.
Correct.
Yeah, that'll all, well, because it'll have a full basement, so they'll go down to where the original footings were, compact it, build the footings, and reinforced
Right.
concrete.
Bigger
foundation.
footprint, too, so he's probably gonna get out into.
Well, he'll have to use this other lot as incorporation to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I will get more details and bring them back to you.
Any other old and new business?
What will be across the street, will there be thoughts on what we're gonna have to do with that? Because that's gonna definitely go against zoning with setbacks and all that, won't it?
No, it's zero line setbacks on C1, on, yeah.
All right.
And that's on specific streets, Main Street, Center Street, Water Street.
Okay.
But the elevator issue you mentioned before is a pretty major issue.
It's a major
It is when you
cost.
only have a 25-foot building, and all of a sudden you're, yeah, Bangor's been running into that when they're trying to revitalize all their downtown with new ADA laws and all of that. So, but that'll come through when whomever decides what they're gonna do there, and it'll have to go to the fire marshal's office, and that's where
Right.
the decisions can be made for me.
Did the sprinkler system at Yama's help at all?
Yes, it did, definitely. Where it burned into the attic, there were two heads up in the attic at that point, and they said while the water did help, the amount of steam, it didn't allow the oxygen to draw it through. And it stopped there as far as the roof damage. Yep. It was a good save by the fire department, nobody got hurt, and
It's a miracle.
That new property that was developed down on Brunswick, down Main Street near Skips,
yeah,
it's occupied, it looks nice.
yeah.
Just a quick question, because at the time we had discussion
The
about
shrubs
that.
out in front.
There's no, I was just curious, I mean, I don't agree necessarily, but I was just curious, is that something we,
Yep, no, he has to plant those.
okay, but I'm just asking that question because I don't know if it was really needed, but at the time, for some reason.
I
we had
think
that
with the
there.
decks the way they are, it's even more necessary, because it'll shrub up in front of the,
Oh, okay. I mean, it's nice looking property, you did
it's
a
a
great
good-looking
job.
building. Yep.
Nice to see the dumpster out back instead of out front.
I mean, you did a good job with the whole property, it looked like it was immediately occupied. I think it's full, isn't it?
I wonder if you had a waiting list, maybe?
Yeah, his building up on Stillwater Avenue, they did same thing.
Right.
They're walking through and it's studded walls wanting to rent from.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh, it's good, it's,
And those are all one bedrooms down here.
right.
I'm glad that he came, I mean, it really took a good investment there.
And just for everybody that doesn't know, E.J. Roach is our new Economic Development Director, and he's got all kinds of opportunities across the street, and he's been working hard to find spaces for the people that have been displaced, and it's been a good citywide team effort.
Anything you'd like to say, EJ?
I brought all my friends to the meeting. But I just look forward to working with the planning board to sort of move some things forward, and we're happy to collaborate on any type of project, and looking forward to it.
They had a presentation, I just wanted to tell you, at the Old Town Museum 2 weeks ago about the mill, the history of the mill,
I
and then
was disappointed I missed
the current
it.
mill manager was there, and he spoke about some of the investments that they're doing in generality, so it sounds like there's a lot of great stuff going there. I mean, I don't know if anything ever has to come in front of us, because the last time we had something was that water catchment, I remember.
Yeah,
But-
anything within the confines of the walls that are there, unless it's a total change, like when they brought the biorefineries ideas to us, that definitely does.
Yeah.
There's talk that they're gonna build a new office building there. That would definitely come to you folks.
Well, it sounds like that they're investing, and that's great. And what's happening across the street in the old school? I see a lot of work going on there. Is there
They're
anything
gonna be
particular?
bringing a plan to us right now. They're just demoing and getting it cleaned out so they can start doing layouts. That's with an architect right now, an engineer.
That's not the mill, though, doing that?
No, it's a
Okay.
private individual.
It's positive to see some of the things going on, so that's why I
It
was
is.
asking.
That's why it was so heartbreaking when I heard the news of this. We're moving forward, and then you kinda,
Yeah.
Well, it may be a new opportunity. We just don't know what it is yet.
Have to
Right.
look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
At least Old Town's in the news.
There you go.
Any other business?
that's all that I can think of for you.
So in your thing, next meeting is the regular second, Tuesday?
God willing, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I am trying to
So
get
like
back
two
on
more
track,
weeks.
and,
It's in 2 more weeks then,
yes.
essentially, okay.
Okay,
And I've got packets that I've been trying to
okay.
review.
So
and-
you have things
Just
on
put
the
it in-
agenda
I'm
already?
just putting it up here
Okay.
for calendar reasons.
Yeah,
All right.
no,
Take a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second? We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank